Shama Mohammed, do you believe that the government is engaging in damage control rather than confronting the issue head on? And if you do, what's the basis for you to say that?
See, the government of India is not confronting the issue at all. They have to be called out for contempt of the Supreme Court again. They lied. What did they say in the affidavit? They said the center says no widespread cheating and no particular groups benefited. Now let's look back. On 4th May, one day before the exam, a boy called Anurag Yadav says his uncle took him from Kota to Bihar, and the uncle gave him the examination paper. He said this to the economics offense wing. Mr. Prasad is the name of the uncle. He said he was given, and this paper was given by a kingpin called Nitish Kumar. This was in Bihar. The economics offense wing in Bihar arrested a BJP state. Then we get to know in Gujarat, in Godhra, again a coaching center, people got the papers. They were arrested by the Gujarat police. Then we understand that they were being arrested in Rajasthan as well as in Delhi for impersonation. Today we hear a guy called Rocky has been arrested in Jharkhand, and there is also another school principal from Hazaribagh and a couple of teachers also arrested. Then we hear the CBI has gone to West Bengal. So how can the government of India say it is not widespread when I've already given you 6 states? Of course, it's widespread. And also localized gangs, localized groups in each state have benefited. Like my predecessors, 2 people who spoke here said, the thing in this exam is 67 got 720. Never before in the last 5 years, it's been 2-1, 2-3. The other thing is the grace marks of 1,563 odd people. When they gave the retest, hundreds of them did not attend. Why? Because they know what was behind the grace marks. And what does this IIT Madras say? Because one question can have 2 answers, and that's why people got marks. How can one? I have attended MCQs. I have done these exams, unlike the spokesperson sitting here from the Bharatiya Janata Party. I've attended medical exams, and I can tell you one question has one answer, including your son, Rajdeep. You can ask him also. It cannot be 2. So this is all make-believe. And the other thing is, if we look at the discrepancies here, on various things. Of course, there has been mass cheating over here. And according to me, the NTA has to be dissolved. Mr. Joshi has to resign, because let's understand how many exams have been postponed. NEET-UG, NEET undergraduate, NEET postgraduate, many, and constables exams, etc.
Okay.
The other thing...
Ma'am, just a minute. Yes, go ahead. Finish up.
One last point, Rajdeep. They brought in a law, Public Examination Act 2024. After that was in February. In March, there has been the constable's exam. There was a paper leak in UP. Okay, let's understand that. I want to understand why no case over there, why nobody was given the 10-year conviction and 1 crore fine. Because unless and until we convict people, nothing is, you can bring in laws. Unless you don't enforce these laws, you're not going anywhere. So
Ma'am, I've heard you now. No, Shama Mohammed.
70 paper leaks, Rajdeep. 70 paper leaks.
Those have taken place in BJP and Congress-ruled states. Let's not, there have been 70 paper leaks.
That's why you brought in a law.
Yeah,
that's why
1 minute, ma'am. Just a minute. Please put her voice down now. There have been 70 paper leaks in both BJP and Congress-ruled states. I want to come, though, Maheshwar Perry, while this will be debated whether this NEET exam, the leaks were mass or whether they were confined to a few areas. Here is a question that someone has asked me on WhatsApp, which is an important question. And that is going to become central, I think, going ahead. Do we need NEET? Do we need a centralized examination? Why not individual institutions decide who to admit and who not to? Have individual or state-wise exams, decentralize it. The moment you have this exam spread across the country in the manner that it is, the NTA's credibility comes under test, and there are parts of the country where if leakages take place, the entire exam goes for a toss. Is that the direction that we are going to have to move in? And as the NTA itself going to have to be re-looked at its role?
So, Rajdeep, before answering that, I'll just go back to the earlier thing. Rajdeep, that moment NTA were to put up all the data of all the students and the ranks along with the school, and you can hide the details of the students, by the way, but just the rank and the center. Trust me, a bomb is likely to explode. Trust me when I say this, because the data that we have done at this point in time of the top 100 is because the NTA came up with only the top 100 rankers details. The balance was only a data analysis that we were doing in terms of the score versus rank projections. If the NTA were to come up with the entire data of center-wise how many students have come up, trust me, there'll be a bigger problem. And that is what the CJ was also hinting at when he said, why don't you put up all the data up there? That's the first part of it. Two, I personally think that IIT Chennai has gone through a confirmation bias. That's my opinion, right? I don't have anything else but for the fact that I know that there's a confirmation bias because they were looking at a hypothesis and trying to prove a hypothesis, which is a problem for me, right? Now, coming back to the larger question that you asked of whether NTA should be dissolved or whether it should be a state level examination, right? My personal opinion is that any examination is unfair to people who cannot go through coaching. That's a fact. When you don't have access to coaching, when you cannot afford coaching, it is unfair to them, and that is why you actually have a socio-economic diversity problem in many of the universities in the country. Now, but still, pre-NTA days, it was larger corruption, which is below the table. Post-NTA, it is corruption above the table because the fees has been normalized. What was 5 lakh fee and 75 lakh as donation is now 1 crore fees, right? So, in a sense, if you look at all the examinations that you have in the country, they're only dealing with getting into, government colleges.
You see, you're looking
or
at the
government
equity
jobs
argument.
and those kind of things.
No, Maheshwar Perry, you're looking at the equity argument, an argument that Tamil Nadu and other governments are making. They're saying that's why we need to decentralize. I am looking at the fact that year after year, and I'll put on the graphic, every year we've had some problem or the other with centralized exams. Is there a need, therefore, for a complete review of it? Vivek Thakur, do you believe that if you had our coaching centers like yours...
Rajdeep, I'll just add to that.
Yes.
Rajdeep, I'll just add to that.
Yes. Go ahead.
Rajdeep, I'll just add to that. The thing is, when you are having a CBSE as an examination body, Rajdeep, this problem was not there. And the reason was because the CBSE was in direct control of the schools. And it was not a very shallow relationship. In this particular case, when you open a center, when you enlist a center, and when you actually hire a center for that, there is always a serious problem. When CBSE was conducting the examination, it was conducting the examination in its own schools where the principal was their officer, where the principal was their employee possibly or reporting to them. And there was a much deeper relationship. It was not as shallow as when you enlist a center at for a commercial consideration.
That comes back to decentralization.
Our protocols, our processes.
No, that comes back to decentralization and having an examination where accountability is greater. If you have one agency which is going to now decide for crores of students across the country, there is a possibility of leakages and of monitoring difficulties. Vivek Thakur, the coaching industries themselves, though, are prospering. As from what Maheshwar Perry suggests, the lakhs that students pay, it serves the interests of the coaching centers to have a NEET-like exam.
See, Rajiv ji, I am also an IIT graduate, plus I am a student rights activist for a long time. There's a very clear perspective regarding coaching centers that they are making money. In reality, person like me, I am actually working with so many schools in this country in empowering the students so that they do not need to go to coaching at all. And two sons of a chai wala in Chandausi in Uttar Pradesh are actually studying in IIT. They were my students. So this is not the correct perspective because so many students from small cities and villages, they cannot afford to go to big public schools, private schools. So going to IIT and AIMS, the only way for them is through coachings. So this is the way Sanjuji had been attacking me in past panel discussions also. 1 point. Second, coming back to the solution part that you said actually. The solution lies in two facts. Actually, the government and court both seem to be in a fix because both sides are finding that there is some trouble. Very simple solution. Two options are there. Number one, see top 20% students in each category. They are only in race they are the only contenders for government and private medical seats. Number one. So rest 80% are already out of race because the government and private medical colleges combined have 1,08,000 seats. So if you take top 20% from each category, general, OBC, SC, ST, all category, the number is around 4,36,000. It's easily doable because rest 80%, they didn't have access to the malpractices. Otherwise, they would have obviously scored very high. Number two, only 13 lakh students have qualified this exam. So why consider the disqualified people? They have already disqualified the cutoffs. So why are we all discussing at 23 lakh figures? Why cannot the government come up to the Supreme Court and say, just like in the case of grace marks, they actually came up with the solution that, okay, we are going to have a retest for the grace mark students. And it all went really well. Why don't they come up with a solution that, okay, since the credibility of this exam and NTA is all-time low, No student. You ask all students. No student, no parents, no teachers are trusting NTA and this entire examination system. Why not reinstate the credibility and have the retest for top 20% students in each category? Number one option. Second option, only the qualified students, 13 lakh students.
So you're saying go for a retest for the 13 lakh students, but you're opening a Pandora's box because of course there will be students. It won't be easy. There will be students though who are claiming, look, we have cracked this exam. Why should we be denied the opportunity? Sanju Verma, the thing,
they are already out of the race.
No,
May I please?
No, the qualified students also, those who have qualified, there are students who will claim that why should I have to go through the exam once I've qualified for